right, guys, welcome back to the Arsenal Insider podcast. I'm on my own today, as you probably know, unless you're just listening. But we've got a lot to get through. We've had a late winner against Newcastle. We beat Port Vale in the Cup, and we've just beat Olympiakos in the Champions League to make it 2 wins from 2 in Europe, which is pretty big. So let's get into it. First, we've got to talk about the Newcastle win. I mean, that's the centre point of everything. That's our biggest result so far this season. So let's get cracked into that. To be honest, before the game, I really thought that we were just going to drop points. I think whenever we're chasing sort of the league leaders, Liverpool obviously dropped points. And I thought, do I celebrate Liverpool dropping points, or are we gonna fumble our lines? And I really was set in my ways thinking that we were going to drop points. St James's Park, who would blame me? We were all going to stress that we're not going to win there, and look what we did. You got to give a lot of praise to Arteta. I think he's had all of the handbrake off comments, and what does he do? Handbrake on, sorry, and he's taken the handbrake off. We were flying. I haven't seen us perform like that, especially at St James's Park, in so long. It always looked like we were going to win the game. The penalty decision, which I'll touch upon as well, but it always looked like it was going to go our way. Even in the latter stages before Merino equalised, I thought we're going to get something here, whether it be a draw. And like all of us, we would have taken a draw at the moment. But obviously, Voltemade got on the score sheet. Gabriel could have done a lot better, and he really saved himself. I think he spared his blushes. He probably could have been sent off had the punch out at Voltemade caught him. Equally, had the referee spotted it. So I think he was a very lucky boy, and a very lucky boy later in the game as well, to not concede a penalty for that handball, because we've seen them given. It would have been a bit of an outrage, but we have seen them given. So a lucky guy, and then he comes up, wins the match, and wins man of the match. So a great turnaround from Gabriel there. So we always thought this game would be a battle won in midfield, and I really think that we went there with real intent. There was a lot of Gary Neville comments on comms talking about Declan Rice's positioning, and I have to say I thought Rice played the midfield as perfectly as he could have, really, and I think that's why Zubimendi had such a good game, and in turn I think that's why Eze was able to impact the game so well in the number 10 role. We finally got our wishes. Arteta answered, what the critics have been saying about him all season is, how attacking can we go? Bit surprising to see Trossard start, but to have what we have coming off the bench now, that's going to make such a big difference to us. We saw it against Port Vale, bringing Gyökeres on in the second half. We saw it at Newcastle with Merino and coming on to score the equaliser, set up by Odegaard, who has just been absolutely unplayable over the past 2 games, which leads us nicely into last night. Odegaard, the clear man of the match. I don't think anyone could fault his performance in any way, apart from maybe scoring that chance, but their goalkeeper just decided to completely switch on and denied him in that moment. I think Odegaard, Arteta's got a problem now, I think, because how are we fitting Odegaard and Eze in centrally? Because Eze, we've seen over the past 2 performances, especially, that he's perfect in the number 10 role. Pushing him out to the left, is it going to be a bit detrimental? We don't know. Are we going to miss the pace of Martinelli out there? Again, we don't know. It's all trial and error, but we've got the squad to combat that, and I think that's what's setting us above most at the moment, besides Liverpool by 2 points, but we'll get to that. So yeah, all of this week's action has been about the playmakers, I think. I think Eze made such a difference against Newcastle, bringing him in. He's so unpredictable. And it's not that Martin Odegaard isn't, but when he's not at top form, he's a predictable player. He can get shoved off the ball, and sometimes his passing just doesn't pay off. But Eze, he's very, very sneaky the way he plays, very silky as well. He does things that we haven't seen from creative midfielders in a very long time. So it's great to have him in, and it was great to bring Odegaard in. Who would have thought last season that we'd be saying that we'd be switching between Eze and Odegaard? I can't believe where we are right now, to be honest. But the most important thing was the win. Momentum's in our favour. We got West Ham next, and I think the most important thing now is to beat West Ham, because we can't, there's been a lot of talk of us, and rightly so, celebrating our big win at Newcastle, but it ultimately means nothing if we then go and lose against West Ham, which, new manager bounce. Nuno's a very good manager. And West Ham have got talent. They've got talent in their ranks, and we know that they can threaten us. We've just got to now build on this performance and not have used all our energy on Newcastle, That being said, we've seen that isn't necessarily the case. We came flying out of the blocks against Olympiakos. Really, really good. I mean, Martinelli probably should have scored. He should have scored in the opening 2 minutes. Fantastic ball. And free from Odegaard, and an amazing bit of work from Gyökeres there. It was just such a shame that he didn't get the goal. I think we move. He's been impressive as well. So Olympiakos were good. First half was brilliant. Second half was, what can we say? It was underwhelming. It was a complete contrast to the first half, but we went and got the job done, which is what we're doing now. We've all, I'm hoping everyone listening's been an Arsenal fan for long enough to understand that we've had struggles over the past decade, and I wouldn't back us really in any circumstance back then to go on and finish games the way that we are now. And again, it's due to our squad depth. It's credit to the players that the managers brought in the summer. Not exactly, I wouldn't say like superstars. I mean, Eze, Gyökeres, they're superstars, but I mean, it's the ability to, rest Saliba if he's not 100%. Last night to hook Gabriel if he's not 100%. These are differences that will leave us, in a better position long term, and that's what we need in the title race. It's no good building momentum up until April and then just flagging because of injuries. So huge progression there. We've got to talk about a new manager bounce. Nuno got a good result in his first game at West Ham, and the timing of the change of manager is a bit frustrating for us because West Ham have looked absolutely woeful, to put it kindly, to be honest. And I think Nuno's obviously going to bring a lot of structure to their team. So it's about how we break them down now, which we know is possible. We were ruthless against Newcastle, our pressing, and against Olympiakos, the pressing was less. It was interesting to see Odegaard, take a different approach to the game. He wasn't pressing as much and he was giving himself more freedom. I think it will be a different matter when we beat I'm speaking things into existence. When we play West Ham, because they're going to be sitting back. They know that we struggle sometimes in a low block, and we're going to need all the creative output we can get, which fortunately we have with the likes of Eze and Odegaard. I still think there's a lot to be sort of guessed in terms of our starting 11. Is he going to start Martinelli? Is he going to start Trossard? Saka's obviously bound to come back into the starting 11 after starting on the bench last night. And then it's the Odegaard-Eze dilemma. Are we having Odegaard in the 10, which I think is non-negotiable at the moment, but then where does that leave Eze? So there's a lot to think about before the game. Score prediction wise, I'm thinking we're still going to beat them. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it would have been if we'd had Potter in charge of West Ham. So I'm going to go 3-1 win to Arsenal. 3-0 actually. I keep just putting a 1 because I think I'm just stuck into the ways of being a lifelong, long-suffering Arsenal fan, thinking that we can't keep clean sheets when obviously the past 3 years, that's false. We are keeping clean sheets. So yeah, 3-0 to Arsenal. Got to be hopeful. And yeah, another 3 points over West Ham would be ideal, but who knows? We could be going into the international break top of the table. Thanks for listening. Smash the like button, hit subscribe, the bell, and we'll be back again next week. Come on, you Gunners.